In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 NBA games happening on December 29, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. New York Rangers versus Carolina Hurricanes. This one sets up as a classic spot where reputation says Carolina, but the recent patterns keep tugging you toward New York instead. Carolina is going to be the home favorite most nights in their own building, and having taken 7 of the last 10 against the Rangers, that history gives them a built-in nod in the market. At the same time, the most recent chapter in this matchup went the other way, with the Rangers taking that game back in November, and that matters a bit more when you are trying to read current dynamics rather than just old trends. Here is the thing, the Rangers have basically turned road games into their comfort zone this season, piling up 14 wins away from home and looking much more relaxed and efficient when they are the visitors. We have seen a pretty simple approach work so far, fading New York when they are laying a number at home and backing them when they pack their bags, and that pattern has not exactly broken yet. It fits with the head-to-head quirk too. The road team has come out on top in 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two, which is a sneaky little angle that lines up with how the Rangers have been traveling. Honestly, the main problem with grabbing Carolina here is not that they are a bad team, it is that this particular price tag feels too rich for where their game is right now. The goaltending has wobbled over the last couple of weeks, just enough to make you uneasy about laying a premium number against a confident road opponent. New York, on the flip side, has reserved its sharpest hockey for these away spots, and that combination of solid road form and vulnerable home favorite usually tilts the value toward the dog. If this matchup were lined closer to a coin flip, you could at least make a decent case for the Hurricanes as the home side, but with the current numbers stretched the way it is, backing the Rangers becomes pretty hard to argue against. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Rangers money line is our full game side pick. The Rangers are averaging 2.55 goals per game, which is not exactly explosive, but their power play is converting at 18.4%, so they have enough structure with the extra skater to turn a couple of penalties into real chances. Defensively, they are allowing 2.68 goals per game and killing 81.6% of opposing power plays, which is solid enough, but not so smothering that it shuts the door on a capable attack. Carolina brings a bit more punch in raw scoring, sitting at 3.3 goals per game, and even with a 16.7% power play, they still manage to generate steady pressure and keep opposing goalies busy. On the defensive side, the Hurricanes are giving up 2.86 goals per game while killing 80.8% of opponent power plays, which again is respectable but leaves just enough daylight for breakdowns, rebounds, and the occasional scramble in front. Let me explain why that mix leans toward a higher total rather than a slog. You have one team that scores a bit more freely on average and another that is not far behind, with both penalty kills in that good but not untouchable range, so special teams can absolutely nudge the total upward. If the Rangers' power play finds even a single clean look and Carolina continues to generate at its usual clip, you can very easily land in a scoring band where both sides contribute and the number on the board edges past a typical total line. It does not require a wild track meet, just a steady flow of chances, a couple of successful man advantages, and maybe one loose defensive sequence each way, and the profile of these stats suggests that is well within reach. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Kings versus Colorado Avalanche. This matchup in Colorado really feels like a test of belief in momentum versus a quiet fear that a streak has to stop sometime. Colorado comes in riding a 7-game winning streak, and right now they are playing like the clear top team in the league by a wide margin, not just sneaking by but consistently handling business. They are also a perfect 15-0-2 at home this season, which is the kind of home record that makes bettors feel almost guilty going against them, even when the price is a bit steep. Los Angeles, to be fair, has not been a pushover away from home with that 11-4-5 road record, so this is not some free square on the schedule. The problem is the recent form, because the Kings have stumbled over the last few weeks, and that one big 6-1 win over Anaheim feels more like a sigh of relief than a real statement that everything is fixed. They have scored 2 or fewer goals in 4 of their last 5 games, and when you are taking on a team like Colorado that is rolling, that kind of offensive output usually puts you behind the 8 ball pretty fast. Here is the thing, if you cannot keep pace on the scoreboard against a group that is confident and firing, the game can tilt away from you even if you do a lot of other things reasonably well. Honestly, Colorado just keeps showing up over and over, and it has reached that point where you almost feel like you have to keep backing them until they finally give you a concrete reason to stop. Yes, the Kings are a solid road team on paper, and yes, that blowout of Anaheim looks good in the box score, but one strong outing is not enough to erase a stretch of real goal-scoring issues against stronger competition. So while it is always a little uncomfortable laying points against a capable opponent, the way Colorado is playing combined with the Kings' recent struggle to finish chances leans pretty clearly toward another strong result from the home side, and not just a narrow one. As our first pick for this matchup, the Colorado Avalanche to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Colorado has been filling the net all season, averaging 3.97 goals per game, and even with a fairly modest 16.0% power play percentage, they are still piling up almost 4 goals a night, which says a lot about their 5-on-5 pressure. They allow only 2.19 goals against per game and carry an 85.8% penalty kill, so defensively they are strong, but that kind of offensive punch still tends to create games where the total has room to climb, especially if they get rolling early. On the other side, Los Angeles has been more restrained offensively with 2.59 goals per game, and that lower output is part of why people might lean under at first glance. They allow 2.49 goals against per game, which is respectable, while running at 13.9% on the power play and 77.6% on the penalty kill, so they are not exactly dominating special teams, but they are not collapsing either. Let me explain why this still leans over, though, even with those numbers looking fairly controlled on the Kings' side. When one team is consistently around 4 goals per game like Colorado, the total often comes down to whether the opponent can chip in enough to push things over the number, and Los Angeles has just enough baseline scoring to do that if they get a few clean looks or a bounce on the power play. Even if the Kings stay around their usual range and Colorado plays close to their own averages, you can easily get to a combined total that clears a typical line, especially if there is one period where the game loosens up or special teams get busy. So, taken together, the aggressive scoring profile from Colorado and the steady, if unspectacular, contribution from Los Angeles point toward a matchup where the goal total is more likely to creep upward than stay suppressed. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Minnesota Wild versus Vegas Golden Knights. This matchup in Vegas really comes down to whether you still trust the Golden Knights at home or if you put more weight on what both teams are showing right now on the ice. Vegas has the history edge in this series, with 7 wins in the last 10 meetings with Minnesota, and that pulls a lot of people toward them almost by habit. You look at the building, the crowd, the whole Vegas atmosphere, and it is easy to default to the idea that the Knights will eventually snap out of this rough stretch just because they usually do at home. Here is the thing, Minnesota is simply playing the better hockey at the moment, and it is not just a vibe call. The Wild have picked up points in 9 of their last 10 games, so they are consistently showing up, keeping games tight, and finishing the job often enough to cash tickets. Vegas, on the other hand, has been leaky in their own zone, and if that defensive effort does not pick up, this kind of opponent can punish them in a hurry. That is where this matchup starts to tilt, because a talented roster that is not fully connected defensively can look good on paper and still burn bettors in reality. Honestly, this price feels like it is still anchored to the old idea of Vegas's home ice as a fortress rather than what we have seen recently. The market seems to be holding on to the early years version of the Golden Knights more than the current form when they have had issues with teams at their own level of quality. Minnesota is not some lightweight, they are a legit opponent, and when a quality team is catching a more attractive number against a struggling favorite, that tends to get the attention of anyone who actually looks at recent performance instead of reputation. So even though there is always that temptation to give Vegas the benefit of the doubt at home, the combination of their defensive problems and Minnesota's consistent form makes it really hard to pass on the Wild at this kind of price. As our first pick for this matchup, the Minnesota Wild money line is our full game side pick. Minnesota is averaging 3.03 goals per game, and they are converting on 23.1% of their power play chances, which means their special teams can turn one or two minor penalties into a real swing on the scoreboard. Defensively, they are giving up 2.59 goals per game while killing 77.1% of opposing power plays, so they are not a brick wall, and that slightly shaky penalty kill can invite a goal or two the other way in the wrong matchup. Vegas brings some offense to the table as well, which keeps the door open for more scoring rather than less. They are averaging 3.17 goals per game and cashing in on 25.2% of their power play opportunities, so when they do get their chances with the extra skater, they are dangerous enough to turn them into goals at a pretty healthy clip. On the defensive side, they are allowing 2.92 goals per game and killing 81.6% of opponent power plays, which is solid but not suffocating, especially when you factor in the recent dip in defensive sharpness mentioned in the matchup breakdown. When you put that together, you have two offenses that are both capable of getting to 3 goals, paired with penalty units that are not invincible, and that combination usually gives a game a decent chance to push into a higher scoring range. If the Wild keep pressing with their current confidence and Vegas's attack does what its season numbers suggest, it does not take much, maybe a lively power play stretch or a loose second period, for this one to climb past a typical total. So from a scoring standpoint, the matchup leans toward a game where both teams can contribute enough to push the number upward rather than drag it down. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.